Sure. We have 1,200 registered participants for the webinar series, and today, currently, we have 44 participants in the room.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Ladies and gentlemen and friends, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's very nice to see everybody on the cyberspace. I would like, first of all, thanks Elizabeth and his team for organizing this very important series of webinar on water and water issues. And as you all know, Rio 20+ is coming, and water is one of the key issue to be discussed among the politicians, NGOs, private sector in Rio about 1 month from now on. If we look at the picture, although the world is generally ahead of the schedule in terms of meeting the 2015 drinking water target proposed in the MDGs, there are still a great many people who are unable to rely on a secure source of water. If you look at today, more than 750 million people still has no limited to safe drinking water. Well, we prepared a very agenda and we will do it very fast. We are not going to focus so much on these slides. We run the slides very fast through and make it the time that we can ask question, and this is the important part of the venue today. Well, the focus of the presentation will be on the innovation and technology and how this technology can remove some of the security issues and risks related to the water. Well, if we again take one step back, according to Jamie Skinner, across rural Africa, some 50,000 water supply points have failed, which means this asset representing at the dollar terms about $250 to $360 million. So while some of the people say, well, we know these numbers, you know, there is no good news, or there is no new news, but we have to mention these numbers because it's happened time to times. The infrastructure projects fails, but what we try to do during this discussion today is how we can bring some more sustainability to this kind of infrastructure projects, water infrastructure projects. Well, if we look at the risk of water or water security, according to the Asian Development Bank, there is actually identified internal use 49 different types of risks. But for the LifeLink, we will focusing on the 3 types. This is affordability, mechanical and financial sustainability, and financial integrity. Well, I will give you very fast what the LifeLink business concept and its technology stands for. Well, our global LifeLink purpose is actually we will become a global leader in innovative water solution for the developing world, which means that we are all the time working on developing new technology that deal with some of the challenges. We will contribute to sustainable development by creating and applying cutting-edge technologies, business models, and partnership structures. We are also ever committed to improving quality of the life for people living in poverty while caring for the planet. This is very important to mention. This is not our CSCR purpose. This is the Grundfos main purpose statement. Well, the Grundfos LifeLink concept is actually consists of, as you can see of this slides, is we have a solar-driven submersible pumps, as you can see of the picture, and then we have the renewable energy source. This in this case is the solar panels. We have the revenue management system. This is the black box. You can see the guy standing beside. We have the remote monitoring system. We have the integrated after-sales service, and also we always community development part, and also project performance monitoring. This is what we call, and internally we call it actually Grundfos LifeLink turnkey solution, which means include all these elements in this project implementation phase. Well, we aiming at the sustainability all levels. I mean, technical sustainability is through remote monitoring and service contract. We actually, some of our projects in Kenya, Spencer will mention, is actually guaranteeing for 10 years operation and maintenance. On the financial sustainability part, well, there's the revenue collected, and the revenue management system is a closed revenue management system, which means there's a zero corruption. On the environment, of course, there is the solar powered panels, which means that actually solar powered pumps actually very suitable for very arid and semi-arid area, remote area. There is no access to electricity, or it's very difficult to get fuel. And social sustainability, focus of the LifeLink is also while you're getting the access to safe water, also improve the health and living conditions, and this also creates a lot of income. Well, if you look at the LifeLink turnkey solution, this is actually heart of the system. We call the water management solution. I can see some of the words disappeared in the box. Well, this is the water dispenser unit. We call it also kind of global revenue management system and remote monitoring system in one box. And as you can see also, we're mentioning here, this is actually, they can be connected to the existing technology such as public standpipes or water kiosks, which means that it is actually point source water kiosks. As you can see, this is again a much closer picture of the this water dispenser. As I mentioned earlier, is a point source water dispenser. It's very easy to use. You can see you have the key on where the number is indicated, AA 889. This is the key, water key. Somebody call it water credit key. Somebody call it smart card. Somebody call it. There's a lot of names for this one, but this is the water credit keys, which means the all the payment will be transferred for this key. And there's the direction distribution outlets you can see on the side of the box, which means make possible to do make the system very flexible, which means from one source you can get one for the schools, clinics, or also even places that you give the water for the animals. So there's a lot of distribution outlets that you can use it for various things. Well, we have two business models we are working on it. This is global revenue management system based on M-Pesa and mobile banking, which means that from the number one, you can see the person standing beside the water dispenser transfer through his mobile, through SMS, credits for the Safaricom M-Pesa in Kenya, for this case. And now what's happening in 3A is Safaricom actually sending our server in Denmark a message that this person in very remote area in Kenya wants to buy 100 shillings water credit. It takes about 10-20 seconds. The credit will be transferred for this key that this person in number one actually owns. And what's happened with this money that the Safaricom that transferred the money to a local bank by community bank, whatever. And the money in the bank will be divided actually in two. One is that goes to the, we call it maintenance and repair and maintenance and operation fund. And the part of that, if they can generate any surplus, they will go back to the community for water credits or whatever the community or water committee decide to use the credit for. So what is important here is that we all the time make sure there is some money in the bank for the maintenance and operation, and this is the why that we can actually guarantee a project for 10 or 15 years operation and maintenance. Places there is no mobile or no access to mobile is very limited. We just launched the global revenue management system, which means actually very pretty much like prepaid phone card, but here is the prepaid mobile key, water key. Here you can see on the picture, water credit manager actually transfer the water credit for a master key owned by the water vendor. It could be 1,000 liter, it could be 1,000 shillings. What this water vendor does is goes to the village, and against cash he transferred this water credit from his key to the other keys or water user's keys. And this is the same again, and the water user goes to the tap and tap the water with the key, and there's the water vendor goes to the bank and put the bank money in the bank, and you can see that goes through on the cycle again. Again, this system is very closed, and there is a very limited opportunities for mismanagement of the funds, because everything I will show in a couple of the slides, everything is monitored by a computer. All the transaction is monitored by the computers. So the opportunity of the mismanagement is almost zero and very limited. This is actually what I just mentioned about the revenue transparency and control. As you can see, the whole money transferred to this key, there is no cash involved between the different parties. What's happening here is actually end users or users in the village transfer the money directly to the M-Pesa account. I saw some figures that says, well, there is today is 3.2 billion people in Africa has access to mobile or subscribes for the mobile, as only 25% has a bank account, which means that this mobile banking or mobile payment opens up for a lot of opportunities for the payment for the basic services. This is very user friendly, and there is no kind of rocket science. It is very simple to use. As I mentioned, there is closed and transparent payment system. Everybody can see this data on their computer, and there's 100% revenue collection, which means there is no mismanagement, there is no corruption, there is no overheads. Do you pay for the water that's been agreed, fixed tariff, and this is the actually simple revenue management tool to use. What is actually what I mentioned, your revenue administration website. You can see everything on the website. All the keys is registered. You can see all the transactions on the keys, how much water has been tapped per day, per month. So it just gives you actually opportunity to see if there is any mismanagement of the funds going on. So you can really track it down. Remote monitoring system, again, this is just gives you again another picture of you can see how much water to tap per day or per month. You can see water units operation performance. You can see connection to the server, and all this data is actually available for you, that you can see all the time monitor the system, and if something happened with the system, you have immediately get a SMS or through email technician to get the really action and fix the system. This is actually for the technical people, that they can see if there is something happened with the pressure or the pumps or solar panels. They send us a SMS to the technician, and the technicians can immediately take the action. This is not like old days from to take the bike or whatever animal from the village to village, and takes ages to get to the city and alarm these technicians to come and fix the problem. But here you have the really immediately SMS to get that, well, something happened with this system, and you can take really action on the system. Well, as I mentioned again, through this revenue collection and management and the operation and maintenance fund, that we can guarantee, we'll say in lifetime, but there is no what's the lifetime. This is between 10 and 15 years guaranteed, backed by the Grundfos LifeLink. There is a monitoring remote 24/7 through telephone or Interlink. You have the long-term fixed price service contract, which means you cannot be surprised year by year, or after 6 months somebody comes and tells you, well, the prices goes down by this amount and you have to pay 50 or 60 or 70% more. This is the actually fixed price for the maintenance, which gives a comfort to the village or rural areas or semi-urban areas, that people know what they get for the money they're paying. Local service companies, we train them to do the service on behalf of us, and other countries that actually be trying to work with the local companies to do the maintenance and operations. Well, the first risk is when you take it is actually affordability. This is very difficult to calculate what is affordability, because there's different factors involved on each side. It is difficult to arrive at a definitive metric for comparing the cost of alternative water supply technologies. Well, because there is so many factors involved. But what we did here is actually we take it one of the projects that we are calculated on based on the Burkina Faso, is actually we can bring it down as low as $1 per cubic meter water. We take it that actually trade-off of the system, not just only focusing on the capital investment here and now. We take in the 10 years or 15 years trade-off, and it is one of the reasons that the water price can be as low as $1 per cubic meter. We have three various business model, or we offer three. This is one is O&M, component only, which means that we just provide our water dispenser. And this is that. And the second one is turnkey project that I mentioned. This is full service installation, maintenance agreement, community development, support with revenue collection, that we are really involved in the whole project cycle. And the public-private partnership, that actually this is that we also we enter in this public-private partnership, and here as the technology provider, and also we looking for the training of the public and also private for the revenue collection. There could be the small water service provider or water companies, or it could be the Ministry of Water or whatever. So we will be responsible for training them to use the system, and also train the private sector. Well, mechanical and environmental sustainability, I'm not going to do so much on this one. I already mentioned we are using the Grundfos pumps, and they're reliable and they're good quality. The reason we gave the kind of 10-15 years guaranteed as fixed price for service, and solar energy means that, you know, I mean, this is a long discussion, but this is at this time with the fuel price that is still, I think, and a solar panels price, I think it's very affordable source of energy for this kind of energy. Well, financial integrity, and they've been done. World Bank actually did a lot of a report on the corruption and mismanagement of fund within the water sector, and this is actually one of the main issues here, that this water dispenser and mobile banking is actually reducing, not only reducing, but eliminating anything related to the corruption or mismanagement of the fund, which means that the villagers or the end users actually paying for the service they're getting, they're not paying the more or less. Well, I will, based on this, I will hand it to Kenya to give us some of the experience we did in Kenya the past 2 years, and it could be very interesting to see how the cases work on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rasoul, for you know, that very good background on the Grundfos LifeLink model. I'll just take us very quickly through the history and our experiences in Kenya, so that we understand the move from the concept right to the actual implementation and the benefits that the communities have experienced on the ground. So if you could look at that slide, then we have two companies, of course the headquarters in Denmark, but in Kenya we have Grundfos LifeLink Kenya. And you know, right from 2007, that's when the concept was mooted, you know, going through technology and research and development. And 2008, then the company was formed, locally incorporated, where we did a market scan, we looked for partners who would be able to assist in the operations of the ground. From Rasoul's presentation, you realize that we have telecom operators. We need people who would be able to drill boreholes and then do technical, not research, but look at water analysis and things like that at boreholes. So we needed partners to do that. And then we went straight into the pilot phase from 2009. And we've had several pilot projects. We mapped out the stakeholders who would be interested in the kind of offering that the LifeLink solution would have. And then we had evaluations of the systems that have been installed and the learnings, because it's one thing to put something on paper and it's another to then look at the realities that are thrown up to you from the ground. And from 2009, we have been positioning and also looking at partnerships that have been very useful. And as a technology supplier and as the owner of the innovations, we realized that we need several partners to walk along with us, because provision of clean drinking water is really comes at a cost. So governments need to walk in. The UN bodies have come in very, very well. Red Cross, through the Kenyan Red Cross, Danish Red Cross, have played a role in helping implement the projects that we have had. The NIDA has come in as a partner who has a major interest in environmental issues and also in providing clean water to rural communities. And that was what we did in 2010 to date. And from 2011, we've been consolidating operations. And we now have 35 projects giving water to 75,000 people in Kenya. And these people are spread over rural Kenya and also urban informal settlements, because we really look at populations that don't have access to potable water. That's where the LifeLink solution has a very big influence in communities of this nature. And in many cases, it is arid and semi-arid areas for whom you have seasonal waters, and at some point in the year, they simply don't have any water at all. So then this solution then really brings some change. Going forward, in 2012, we are looking at scaling up in Africa and Asia. Right now, we have moved into Uganda, and we'll be implementing 4 projects. We're actually in the process of doing that in Uganda, and then thereafter scaling up. But you can see from 2007 to 2012, those are 5 years. And I think it has been a very exciting run for Grundfos LifeLink. And I think we're all full of excitement of the possibilities that exist going forward. In terms of the results and the social impact that we have seen so far, like I said, we have 35 projects in Kenya serving approximately 75,000 people. And then these are in rural and peri-urban communities. And apart from just providing reliable water to these communities, we have noticed that, and we've done these assessments, we've done some studies, gone back to the sites that we had implemented, and had questionnaires with communities, and things that we have discovered is that, of course, and you all know this as people who provide water to rural communities, waterborne diseases have reduced down to by 60%, simply because people don't have to go to the river all the time. They have a choice to either get clean water from the boreholes or take a little risk and the river and risk all the waterborne illnesses. So that has been a clear benefit. And going down to education, this means that there is increased school attendance, because healthy children will then miss school fewer times and then they have a greater chance of passing. So there's a very clear social benefit for communities living around the water points. And then regarding gender, there is alleviation of women's time and energy, because very many women know that they can plan their time. They know that tomorrow at midday I will pick water, draw water for 10 minutes and then go to the market and do other things. So they can then invest their time in other things that add value to their lives, simply because it is very predictable. And then in terms of the livelihoods, we have had situations where people are able to use water to water their home gardens and then provide food for themselves. We've had situations where schools and communities have used water from the water points to go and water greenhouses. That means there is an element of food security, which is really good. And then there is improved quality of life and well-being for the general community. One thing I missed there was that other people have also then been able to generate income from water distribution, because they buy water at for example 3 shillings in Kenya shillings, and are able to sell it down for communities 10 kilometers down the road at 10, and so they're able to make some money. And the last thing is the brick making, amongst others. When you use this water, you're able to make bricks and sell for construction of houses. So in general, in terms of social impact, the installations have improved the quality of life and the well-being of communities. So I'll summarize by saying that in Kenya we've had the key learnings. One of them is that communities are willing to pay for water if it brings sustainability. Many times we had doubts at the beginning, and we said, if communities have been getting water from a river and we suddenly tell them that they have to pay, won't it result in them being unhappy or the boycott the project? But for many communities where the LifeLink solution has been presented, there's a real need for water, because sometimes the river is simply dry, and the communities are willing to pay for the water, so long as we negotiate a good price with them at the beginning. And then they also adapt quickly to mobile technology. We had our fears at the beginning, and as Rasoul has explained, when you're using smart keys, you're using SMSs, you're using technology that is complicated. We thought sometimes getting people to adapt would be difficult, but again, just like they adapted to mobile technology, they have adapted very quickly. But in cases where it has been slow, we have had our community people going in to do trainings, just to make sure that we train users who then train others in the community who are slow. And this has resulted in most of the community being comfortable with the technology. And I mentioned that the sale of water has created income for the individuals around the installations, and also expands the reach of the water project to other communities who don't have water. So there's a benefit for those immediately around the installation, and those probably about 8 to 10 kilometers away from the installation. And that then means that more of the community are very happy with the project. We also learned that partnerships across sectors are important, because as Grundfos, We have excelled in being a technology supplier, bringing in innovations to the market, but we realize that that's just one side of the story. We need to bring in governments, we need to bring in institutions that have a role in providing water infrastructure. That could be NGOs, it could be governments or bilateral or multilateral agencies. So everybody has a role to play, and from technology perspective, the mobile partners have come in very strongly. So it has been not just a learning, but proof that partnership will make a difference to people's lives. And business has a role in providing innovative and sustainable solutions for water security. As Grundfos, our core business is proven pump technology, but Grundfos LifeLink, with its social business model, has embarked on the road to show that business can make the business of providing water can actually be sustainable if we put our hearts to it and we get the partners who would work with us in this area. So that is the end of my presentation, and probably then I'll just send it back to our moderator to take us forward, and we'll be happy to then listen to the questions that from the discussants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rasoul and Spencer. Those were really terrific slides, great slideshow. Just reminding all of our participants that both the slides and a recording of this webinar will be available on our website within a few hours after the webinar finishes. I can see that people are beginning to post their questions. Let me encourage you to continue doing that. Our facilitators, Kirsten and Sean, are working very hard behind the scenes to keep track of all of your questions and to prepare them for the question and answer period. And as I said in the introduction, Grundfos has really provided us with a terrific team to answer your questions. So if you want to go down deeper into the technical questions, we have Lars here, the technical manager. If you're more interested in the business model, we have the managing director of Grundfos, Peter, with us, and also Rasoul. And also, I had the opportunity to talk with Spencer in Kampala last year at the RWSN conference, and he can definitely tell you anything you want to know about the Grundfos experience with LifeLink from the user's perspective. And then finally, we have a wonderful discussant with us. David is the investment officer in the Latin America region of IFC. I got to know David when we were both working on public-private partnerships in Africa. He's done a lot of work on that in developing the business for IFC. I, in particular, recommend his Smart Lesson briefing note that is available. You can Google that, and tells about the IFC experience in getting public-private partnerships for rural and small-town pipe schemes off the ground in Uganda. Very valuable lessons there. So David, you're the perfect person to start asking Grundfos some hard questions about how this works. Let me turn the microphone over to you now.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Elizabeth. I hope you can all hear me. I'm here based in Trinidad, so I hope everything is fine on your side. So, first of all, Elizabeth, I would like to thank you for putting all this hard work for us, really. It's great for you to put really water on the map. We really need to do that. We really need to reach the poor. So that's a great work you're doing. I would also like to thank the whole Grundfos team for their presentation. I think the system you're proposing here is could have a significant impact on people's life in rural areas, and probably also in communities in urban areas. My sense is that the LifeLink system is an attractive product that can potentially address two important issues, in my view. The lack of maintenance, that is a huge problem, especially in Africa, and the mismanagement of funds, as you call it, corruption. That is also a problem all over the world, actually. So most of us here on this webinar know that there is a need to do more in rural water. in particular in frontier countries like in Haiti, where I'm starting some work in the water sector, and where the access to water is a major issue. Our approach to real water has to be original, and I think with your product, you've brought a lot of originality, basically. You really were able to think out of the box, and that's something we really need to do. But because of the nature of your system, I really have a lot of questions for you. And as you can see, there are a lot of questions you will have to answer coming from the participants. On this one, instead of focusing on the technical aspects of your system, I would like to talk a little bit, well, I would like you to talk a little bit more about the business model, your business model, and slash tariffs, basically. So just to give you an example, IC really want to do a little bit much more in the real water sector, and I think your product could help us do more. So 2 years ago, we awarded a 5-year management contract to a private operator in Uganda, and the main lessons we learned was that access to finance to those private operators is key, and tariff for the poor needs to be addressed appropriately. So your presentation is mostly focused on the technology. The new system can bring to the, but I would also like to know what your system could bring to the poor in terms of tariff. That's something you're not talking a lot in your presentation. So how does it compare to kiosk, for instance? Usually innovation has a positive impact on price, meaning price tend to decrease when you bring innovation. Is that going to be the case with your system? Again, can you compare that to kiosks? And one last thing, would it be possible for you to tell us a little bit more about tariff per cubic meter, how it compares to a recommended tariff in Kenya? And if you could tell us a little bit more about the cost of the product as well. So I think for me that's about it. I think I'm going to give it back to the moderator, to Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, David. So now let's move to the question and answer period. I think you have been, I can see you've been typing your questions and comments in the chat box, but you can continue to do so. If your question is addressed to a particular person, for instance, perhaps you want to ask David a question about some of his remarks that he just made, please feel free to indicate that. So now I will turn this over to Kirsten and Sean, who will be moderating the Q&A session. Kirsten, take it away.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and thank you to everybody for such an interesting presentation. Could somebody bring the Q&A box out, lovely, and kind of stretch it? That would be great. Yeah, lovely, thank you very much. We've had a lot of questions around business models, cost, finance, so we've tried to group them a little bit. So here's the first question, and I'm going to put this to Rasoul, who's responsible for funding and partnership. A bunch of questions here around costing. From Alex McPhail, the $1 per cubic meter, what business model is that for? And from Patrick Mullen, is Grundfos willing to invest in the capital cost under this public-private partnership model? And that's a question that many people are asking. They want to understand who's paying the upfront cost of these systems. Following on from Alex's question, Barry Kroon is asking you how this $1 per cubic meter is calculated, under which model, you know, what's within this $1 and what's out. Likewise, Alec also asking for assumptions behind this $1 per cubic meter. and Christoph Leger, who wants you to explain and clarify the economic model. I'm going to hand over to Rasoul, but perhaps you may want to link between you as to who should answer the question. Over for me for now.
Thank you. I will try to again explain a bit this calculation of the price, because we've been challenged many times from many stakeholders on the price, and always we asking them, well, what we are comparing this with. Is this comparing with the hand pumps? Are we comparing it with the similar technology, or are we comparing this with other technology? Just give an example. I will come back to you on this calculation. For example, UNDP reports that since 2004, its Community Water Initiative, they call CWI program, has provided more than $2 million for funding 89 projects that brings water for more than 260,000 people. If you calculate this one, well, you will say approximately price for a project is $22,500, which means make $7.7 per person. Well, it is the way we can calculate? No, it is not, because there is many ways to calculate the price. What we did isn't this one exactly. Why we think the $1, as I mentioned during my presentation, was actually we did it for the Burkina Faso, and was actually based on the population of 1,000 people that we calculate that they will fish for 25 liter a day, which means 25,000 liter. So if you take this one and calculate for the months and the year, and what we did was actually well, the price will be approximately about $0.62, and then we say, well, if they pay $1 per cubic meter water, then they can cover the cost of the capital investment. That was the reason we calculate as well. Commercially is actually doable, but again, are these guys going to fetch 25,000 cubic liter or 25 cubic meter water a day? Is yes. Yes, we can cover, and $1 is doable. And I can see one of the questions is saying, well, $1 is actually calculated is unacceptably high. Well, let me give an example. This model, LifeLink model, can provide water for 2,000 to 5,000 people. Let's take the best case scenario. Let's say 2,000. This system can replace 7 hand pumps. Approximately, where each hand pumps can provide water for 350 people. Let's see this way. 7 hand pumps mean 7 boreholes. I don't know what is the price for boreholes in Africa, but I heard between $5,000 and $10,000. Let's take the 10. Well, if they can replace, this system can replace 7 hand pumps, then you have $70,000. You know, I mean, again, can you calculate this way? Yes, of course you can. Are you calculating the trade-off in your model you're doing, or this is just 1 year project? So there's many ways to calculate the price. So what we did is actually what Burkina Faso, what you have to look at the old cost, and then you can calculate. What we are saying here is we can bring the cost of the water to below $1 and then make it sustainable. I think I turn it to Peter. Maybe Peter has, Peter Totbier Hansen, Managing Director, has also something to add on the business model and finance.
Peter, are you there? I think we may, is Peter going to come on the line? Otherwise, I think we should continue with our questions. We don't want to have too much dead air time.
Let's carry it. In fact, I think what we're going to do is just follow some of these cost questions up together. So let me hand over to Sean, who's going to kind of go to the next costing question as we try to understand more of this, because this has been a key issue raised by the participants. Over to you, Sean.
Just a minute, though. I see that Rasoul wants to say something. Is that, have I understood your little hand signal correctly, Rasoul? Did you want to add something?
Yes, correct. I mean, on the calculation side, I think we can put the last slide, or first slide. my email is on this one. We are willing to share this, on the email basis also, because this is so complicated how we're calculating this cost. I cannot just on 2 minutes say, well, we calculate in this way and this way. So the people are interested, I will propose, Elizabeth, this is my proposal, especially on the cost, how we reach the $1, then we can share the information with them later on.
Okay, that sounds great. And in fact, if you, whatever you care to write down further on this, if you could send that to me, then I will post it on the website so that everybody can see your more detailed answer to this question, and indeed to any question that you would prefer to go in writing in more detail to. So that's a great offer. Thank you very much. Sean, back to you.
Great, thank you very much. Following on from that, Rasoul, I would just like to, before I ask these questions, is that in your write-up, would it be possible to put the life cycle costings for the system in the same sort of terminology that the IRC wash cost project that we heard about last week, they're doing it in terms of CapEx, CapManEx, and all those different categories, because that would be really useful to then be able to compare what the LifeLink system is like in relation to the other types of systems that the wash cost project has been looking at. So okay, so on costing and pricing, the further questions are, who is financing the upfront costs and replacement costs, or is the idea that the community account will cover the replacement costs as well as the operation and maintenance? And then Imran in Kenya asks, you say there are 100% revenue management. Now what happens to the revenue collected, funding other projects or for operation and maintenance of the machines? And then Abu Jafar asks, who sets the water price, and is there any role or participation of the users or customers? And then finally, Jorge Marino asks, do you have an average of monthly costs for the companies providing the technical services, so installation and maintenance, etc.? Over to you, Rasoul. Thank you.
Can I just turn the floor to Lars Denning on the operation and the replacements cost, and then I will come back to you on the financing upfront and then the water price afterwards. Lars, floor is yours.
Okay, everybody. Who is financing the upfront cost and the replacement cost? The projects we've been running so far in Kenya, the upfront cost has been financed by some of the Danida, the Danish government, and also some of the projects has been financed by the water service board in some of the Kenyan regions. And the basic idea is that the payment for the water should cover the operation and maintenance costs. And this is what we are monitoring right now. So upfront there will be a service contract with the community, and that I think Spencer knows the exact figure what's stated on the contract. But the service contract states that the payment for the water should cover the operation and maintenance.
Thank you very much for that. Sorry, Elizabeth, hand over to you.
No, I was just asked, I was unclear if Rasoul wanted to have the microphone back, or but why don't you take it along?
Okay, thanks very much. Let's move on a little bit from cost to one of the other kind of key issues, and that's all around the follow-up, monitoring, the evaluation. And George Merino asks, do you have an average number of visits per kiosk per year? And that's physical visits where you actually go and look at the system, or somebody goes and visits the users. You've talked a lot about the benefits of the system, but it would be great if you could be more specific about what evaluation techniques are being used and how you calculate health, school and time use effects, because you've got a lot of very interesting findings, and I think people would like to know more about your methodology to learn from that. I'm thinking of who I should hand over to. Let me actually hand over here to Spencer, because you're the one directly in the field. Over to you, Spencer.
Okay. Thank you for that question. What I'll just say is, the way the company is structured right now, we have a community, a consultant or advisor who is a full-time staff member, and then we have the technical team made up of an engineer, water engineer, and 2 technicians who will provide service to the installations. So the community people will go in, while the minimum, we haven't set a minimum, but what we've said is that we'll go in when they need us. So for example, from the community side, we have at the beginning when we are installing and also the final training. But what we've learned is that communities always have an issue or the other in terms of a training. They need an extra training, or they just need some better understanding of the system, or maybe there's a water committee that has changed, because wherever we have an installation, we get a water committee to be the link between Grundfos and the community. So whenever the community has an issue, then we then send in our community person to go and give a talk. So in terms of an average number of visits, I would probably just put it at 3 from the community perspective. But from the technical perspective, we have what we planned is that we should have 1 annual maintenance a year that just cleans the system, looks at valves or whatever is not working properly, and then in between they will go in to just sort out any emergency issues. So the system may have a technical fault and they will from an SMS go and fix it, apart from the annual maintenance. So we plan for annual maintenance and periodic maintenance, and I would say that we do an average of about 3 periodic visits from a technical perspective, and then 1 final one at the end of the year, just to sort out technical issues. And then going back to the evaluation techniques, what we did is, out of the 35 that we have, about half were actually installed in the last half of last year. So when we talk about the benefits that we have derived from the LifeLink system, I'll talk about the earlier ones, where we have had assessments. We do assessments every 1 year. We have an internal anthropologist who has designed some questionnaire that looks at the various impacts that we have, and they then come up with the kind of results that we have had by doing questionnaires, or rather having communities fill in questionnaires on specific topics, both around the time saved in terms of going to the market, or in terms of they would go to the school to discuss with the headmaster in terms of absenteeism. So they fill that information from the headmasters at the school. And then that is able to give us an indication of that. So we have our own internal anthropologists who do this, but we've also had 1 or 2 surveys carried out by a university in the US that came and did that study, and this is a public document that we can share with the users. And some of it was after about 8 months. So you could say maybe we need a longer time, but at least after 8 months we'll be able to get an indication of the benefits of certain installations. I probably want to just go back and answer just one question in terms of the last asked about the amount of what do we ask communities to raise from the water that they purchase to enable us to do annual service. And we've worked it out at about slightly over $2,000 per year. That if we can raise that amount of money, then we'll be able to service and commit to the service contract for 10 years. And what again, the other issue is if any amount above 215,000 is raised, that or rather $2,000 is raised, then that goes back to the community, and they then use it in a project of their choice.
Great, thank you very much, Spencer. The next question, I don't know if this is for you or for Rasoul, is on quality assurance and water quality. So Laura Armstead in Calgary asks, does Grundfos have any interest in partnering with organisations and institutions that ensure the boreholes which have pumps installed properly and placed and constructed? So I guess if something's already in place and working. And Gasuki in Boston asks, what is the water source that the system uses and what levels of contamination does it purify? Thank you. Over to you.
Hi, Sean. Before I ask about or answer about the quality of the water and so on, I think I give it to Lars Denning as technical manager. So they are dealing a lot of this kind of question on the water quality and issues. And before I hand it over to Lars, I will just tell about on the partnership side, we are actually partnering with a lot of NGOs. What I showed on the picture, the water dispenser, only the water dispenser is actually, you can put it in on existing infrastructure, which means you have at a kiosk or you have already pumps and solar panels or generator, whatever. You can use this box for the revenue collection and management part. So this is actually suitable. You can use it on the existing infrastructure. On the partnership side, as I mentioned, we are willing to partner with the private sector, with the banks, with the NGOs, with the donors. At actually business models make it very flexible, so we can work with everybody actually. Last to you.
Okay, thanks, Rasoul. Just a quick comment to the first question about the partnering and about the boreholes. This is a very big issue in Kenya and probably also in other African countries. So we've been doing a lot of work identifying the right boreholes which fits to our system. And the basic issue is that although some of the boreholes are well documented on the paper, when we get down to the borehole, and it's not always that the quality of the borehole is what is stated on the paper. So in some areas we have made camera inspections of some of the boreholes, and we have also made pump testing, 24 hours pump testing, to make sure that the capacity of the borehole is in the right quality and the right size. So definitely, yes, we are interested, but you also have to look at the cost related to ensuring the quality of the borehole. Of course, we like to install our system in very new boreholes because there we feel that the quality of the borehole will be better than boreholes which are 15 or 20 years old. The second question about the water source of the system and the purification. What we have done so far is that we have developed a water dispenser, and in this first generation of our dispensing system is without any kind of water treatment or a water disinfection. So, and this is the reason why we have only used our system in boreholes where we have secured or make sure that the water quality has been within the standard of the Kenyan government. So prior to our installations, we have made both chemical and bacterial tests of our of the boreholes in order to make sure that the community will have safe drinking water. This is of course a limitation so far because there will be other boreholes which might have too much salt or E. coli or higher turbidity. And we know that in order to expand our system into those areas, we need to bring water treatment and disinfection. And this is also what we're looking into now to expand our operation area. So I hope this answers your questions.
I think that was very clear. Thank you very much, Lars, for that explanation. I'm going to move on to carbon credits. That's my terrible spelling. It's actually carbon credits. Ghost Suki from Boston asks, since Grundfos water replaces boiling water and can reduce CO2 emissions, do you benefit from carbon credits? And if not, why not? And Christopher Velsian points out that scale is a main issue with carbon revenue. Can I hand over to you, Lars? And maybe you'll hand over to one of your colleagues if I'm with the wrong person. Thanks very much.
Thanks for the question again. This is coming up several times during the LifeLink concept development. We are not quite clear about it. We tried to make some initial calculations, but I think it's depending on what you're looking at as what is the alternative. Are we comparing against the diesel generators, and are we sure that people will boil the water for real? But I've heard this coming up more and more. So I believe that what we're going to do is to dig a bit deeper into what we can do about this, and if we can use this as a to improve our business model. So definitely, I think it's very good and relevant questions.
Okay, so the next question, which is possibly to Spencer, is on the education levels of users. So Alex asks, I'm interested in the ease of use of this machine, specifically with illiterate populations. Has this been tested on largely illiterate populations? And if so, what were the results? And Fatou Amata asks about in rural areas with more than 50% illiterate, how do you train them to use the technology? Thank you.
I can comment on that one. Oh, Spencer, yes, you can do it.
Yeah, let me just come in there. Like I said at the beginning, when we are about to install a unit, or when we've installed it, we do a final training we have from our community consultant, and what we do is, first of all, we constitute a water committee, and we train them on how to use the system. Then after that, we train the community the following day on how to use the system once again. Now, the reason why we do this is the community, the water committee is like our super users. And since we are not there on a permanent basis, they will then be able to answer any questions or help or demonstrate to the communities how to use the system. Now, one thing is that majority of the people here have a mobile phone. Majority of the people are able to transfer money on their mobile phones and credit, and therefore get water credits into their smart cards. Now the system and the interface, or the face of the machine, is really very straightforward. It has very simple pictures that just show you how to transfer money. It's just one button or two buttons, so it's really not more than a 4-step process to get water. So you could either do it through diagrams on the machine which are there, or through the water committee, who will sometimes post somebody at the machine to be able to send or to teach people. So we really work through super users, what we call super users, who are really simple members of the community and who can adapt to the language of the local community at that level. But then in the case, if there is any issue that after maybe 6 months there's a whole group of people who have changed and you have new people who are never trained, then we have what we call anniversary meetings, and this could be actually 1 year, not 6 months, where we go in and call another meeting and actually train afresh through the committee consultant, and then repeat the same thing through the water or the super users. Now going to Fatoumata Sangare's question, again it's the same thing. While we say that in rural areas more than 50% of people are illiterate, it's all about the diagrams and just a simple demonstration. And because the process is very simple, most people are able to understand. But in the event that you have the old women who are 90 and they're not able to do it, there's always somebody within the home, within that household, who is able to do this on behalf of and usually it's a family member who is able to do this on behalf of the people. or the water community or water committee can arrange for that to be done for somebody who's totally literate and is simply not able to learn. But for me, like I said in my slide, the learning was that so many people and the majority are able to use this machine, you know, without too much of a problem. You can use the system without too much of a problem.
Thank you very much, Spencer. We have about 6 groups of questions left, and it would be great to get through them. So if you could really keep your answers very clear, that we can get through all of the comments. My next question is from Karen, who's looking particularly at the water resources side. And I'm going to put this question back to you again, Lars. How do you account for groundwater resources and availability and sustainability if the use from the system increases for large-scale applications like irrigation? It would be great to hear a bit more about you from that, because it's a very important issue. Over to you, Lars.
Okay, thanks. Very good question and relevant. There's a water community in the communities where we install our system, and of course they have to agree on a discipline how they should work around their community water system. So this is what I would call local management. But technology-wise, we have developed a smart card system where you can use a water rationing card instead of the standard water credit card. And this gives the water management an opportunity to control how much water each smart card can withdraw within a day, within a month, or within a year. So far, we have not been using that. We have not met any communities asking for that. But we have developed it because we thought it could be used for areas where you have high water scarcity.
Great, thank you very much. I think, Lars, this is another question for you on the issue of the solar technology. So Alex McPhail asks, are we going to hear anything about the solar part of the system? And Christopher asks, has Grundfos looked at combining the system with mobile phone charging, household LED lamp charging, so that the beneficiaries will be able to collect water, charge their phones and charge their household lamps? Over to you, Lars.
Okay, thanks for the question. Let's start with Alex. The solar part of the system, well, it's very simple. We have developed a submersible direct solar-driven pump. You can put it down to 150 meters borehole, and then we have a small controller, and then we have a water tower. In the first generations, we had about 5-meter water tower. On top of that, we have the solar panels. So the water will go up into the storage tank, and from there it will be connected to the dispenser, and there you can take the water. On the second question, Christopher, I know Christopher, and you have asked me this question before, so now it's a public question. Yes, we have looked into combining the system with mobile charging. So far, it has been in our concept mind. So we have not any projects running so far on that. I know that there are some. We have Water Mission International, our partner. They are making. They have a prototype system running down in Uganda. I also know that Osram is making some tests at the Victoria Lake with charging mobile phones. It could be relevant, and we could use the same technology. But so far we have not. They have not gone into this area because we want to focus on bringing safe water and water treatment and water disinfection into the equation.
Thank you very much for that. Now, I would say the 2 biggest areas of questions have been around cost and where next. And Harish will be very happy to do this question because Harish has asked many times about when are you coming to India, who's the contact person. So we've got particular interest in Kenya, Haiti, India, Tanzania. I've tried to highlight them there. Bade is in Nigeria. Really, how can people get in contact with you to find out more? And what factors will make you expand into other areas? And also another question from Bade, as will Grundfos be willing and able to collaborate with local entrepreneurs to expand this project? I'm going to hand this question over to you, Lars. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you again. Where are you and where will you be? We are in Kenya and we are in Uganda, and we would like to be a global leader within this area. So we are looking into other countries where they have the same needs and where our technology, our products and solution will fit into their needs. This is for sure. So we want to scale up our solutions, and of course we want to scale up our business so that we can have more people having benefit of the solutions. That was then there was a question for Spencer. Can you indicate what urban settlement system has been rolled out? Maybe I could answer this because we're still in rural areas in Kenya. We think urban areas is interesting, and even city kiosks could be also interesting in areas where people don't have the proper water connections. Piero Pizza, has Grundfos any connection in Haiti? No, so far not. I'm not sure about that, and I can see that Rasoul has raised his hand, so I'll just leave the microphone to him for a while.
Thanks, Lars. Always expansion is good things and also can kill you, but we have to take step by step. We have now good experience from Kenya. From Kenya, as already last mentioned, we're moving to Tanzania. From Tanzania, we are moving to Uganda, and also we are looking for Burkina Faso currently. As far as India concerned, we have a person on the ground in India looking for some business opportunities in India. As far as the Haiti is concerned, we can, but we have to do it through NGOs or other local partners on the ground. That we are looking for work with the local entrepreneurs. Absolutely, this is our next strategy. Is actually for all the maintenance, sale and service. We cannot open office in each country. What we are trying to do is some of this country is actually find the right entrepreneurs, find the right service and sales and service providers, and make partnership with them and let them take the sales and the service to the next stage.
Thank you very much for that. Let me now hand over to Sean.
Great, thank you. The next question, which should have pasted but didn't, so let me try that again, is more of a couple of comments about documentation and whether there we go. So from Marianne, has Grundfos published any reports about their experiences? As clearly a presentation like this can't cover everything that people would like. And Fatwa Matata asks, I would suggest to provide more data or conduct more research on cost effectiveness of this technology. So I'm not quite sure if that's for Lars or Spencer or Rasoul in terms of how your experiences are being documented and disseminated. Thank you. Over to you, Rasoul.
Well, thank you very much. Again, we have to be careful. We are not World Bank. We are not Danida. We are not NGO. We cannot produce reports for each side or each project we are doing. Otherwise, we can just preparing a report. So what we can do is here again go back to the partnership part of it, which means when we have a project together with the Red Cross or World Bank or Danida on the ground, Danida doing a lot of reports on the project they're running. So this kind of report produced by Danida on our projects. What we are doing actually now, as Spencer mentioned, we are actually trying to develop kind of web-based sustainability framework, which means some of the indicators on health, education, whatever, will be evaluate, and we will put this one on the website that everybody can see. Again, it is very time demanding, which means we have to be careful. We are the private sector. We are not the NGO, or we are not the kind of institution that have a lot of core fund to do this kind of things. We normally, when we do the project, we talk to the stakeholder and say, well, can we together do a report? And I'm sure some of this report, I'm not sure, we have to check internally. We can make it available on our website that people can have access to it.
Thank you very much. I don't know if many of you are familiar with the recent publication that was done by the International Federation of Private Operators, Aquafed, but they pointed out something called the lamp post syndrome, that the spotlight is on the private sector and they're often expected to really present a lot of data and information. I think this is coming out clearly to you in this webinar as well. The next question, a kind of similar question that we've had before, but from another direction. On major repairs, and Mike McCarthy from USA asks, how does the LifeLink financial management model consider pump components that need major repair or replacement, which are beyond the capacity of the community? And are you using external grants and fundings for system rehabilitation replacement in the long term? And Marianne, who asks, so when the system is worn out and the guarantee is expired, then we have to think about replacing the system. Let me pass that question to Lars once again. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the question. Well, it's always an issue, you know, to try to calculate the lifetime of components within the lifetime of the whole system, and try to calculate how much the service cost will be over a 10 years period. And taking into account that those systems are installed in, you know, in areas where infrastructure is insufficient or missing, and we need to have a service organization to cover the service. Then what we are trying to do is to select the components in a quality that have a long lifetime history, including, of course, a very important one, our pumps, which are submerged 100 meters down in the borehole. And in general, Grundfos has a very good quality reputation, worldwide quality reputation. We are not among the cheapest suppliers in the world, but we are among the best quality suppliers in the world. And so we're trying to find this balance between the cost of components and the quality, the long lifetime quality. I cannot say that we have 10 years experience. I cannot give you a proper answer on that. But so far we can see that with the service coverage of $2,000 per year, which Spencer mentioned, that this seems a reasonable service. Of course, depending on how much water each community are buying.
Okay, another question for you again, Lars. I'm afraid it's quite a technical one from Christophe Leger in France, asking, is the LifeLink system just a single point water system with one submersible borehole pump, or can we imagine a water supply point could have supply a water pipe system network, and how would the pressure and work to make it function properly?
That's also a very good question. Yes, we could imagine, and we imagined that when we designed the system. So what we have designed is the water box, which you have seen. Inside we have distribution valves. So if you put in a distribution smart card, you can take over the control of the direct driven solar pump. So you can redirect the water. Instead of the water is coming out of the water tap at the system, you can redirect it and distribute it down to the marketplace or to the local school, like 1 kilometer down the road, and from there you can withdraw the water. So far, the system we have right now, you can have up to 2 or 3 distribution points, but you can also put on the back side of the system, you could put a manual valve changeover system, so you could have more distribution pipes along the road. So the pump power, what we have is the direct pump. So the pressure the pump can give is around 15 bar or something from the bottom of the borehole.
Thank you very much. I'm just laughing here at some of the comments asking they don't have time or money to produce documentation of their work. Sacrilege. I think there's a lot of discussion needed to really look at what you need to produce or what would make people feel more comfortable and what's realistic. That's a discussion worth taking on. This is the last question, and I think we've done really well to get through. And it's pushing Grundfos LifeLink even further to ask, can this technology be adapted to pastoral communities? And Lars, I'm afraid I'm back to you. Lars and Spencer, I'm back to you. But very quickly, please, because this is the last question. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, it can be passed in areas where you have solar, and you have this in many places. The question about pastoral communities is yes, but they have to adapt to the payment system, and in some of those areas they might not be used to pay for the water. If they are not motivated for that, you will never have this system run there. Another issue is the distance from our service office to the pastoral community. So if we need to take a 3 days drive to get there to make the service, then I will question if this is a good solution using this kind of system.
Thank you very much. Kristen, could you take away this notes box? Thank you very much. That was very informative. We found out in our poll last week that what people wanted was to spend about half the time on the presentation and about half the time on the Q&A period. So we've certainly delivered on that. And by we, of course, I mean Kirsten and Sean, who've been doing a really miraculous behind-the-scenes job of staging all of these questions. So let me very briefly just thank everybody. Thank you, Grundfos, for putting at our disposal such a multifaceted team. Thank you very much, David, for asking the questions about the business model, which indeed is what everybody wants to know about. And thanks to our great support team. As I said, everything is posted on our website. I think you've gotten an email that has this little green bar in it, so just click on that and that will take you to the recordings. If you have not registered, please register because, one, that makes us look good in the eyes of the people that give us funding, and also because it lets us keep you informed about upcoming events, such as our very own Sean will be presenting next week on sustainable groundwater development. I am sure that you will want to be part of this. So that's all for now. Please tell your networks if you tweet or use LinkedIn or any of those things. Please pass on the information about us. And see you next Tuesday, I hope. Bye.